Hi, Lewis. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the 5 parameters that Zherkowsky put forth as they relate to your two sample images, just to give you a better understanding of what they are. I think you've had the most difficulty with the very first one, the thing itself. And the basic idea of the thing itself is how the reality of what's in front of the camera is different from the reality of the actual photograph. Now, looking at this first picture by Minor White, what Minor White did here, and I can tell from my experience that he used infrared film. This is the effect that infrared film has on a photograph. It darkens the sky, it filters out blue, and it enhances greens and reds. So the grass here is going to be lighter. So already the subject is not the same as the photograph. And also, Minor White believed that the image is a reflection of the photographer's inner being, that it's a metaphor, it's a symbol for not only the subject but something else. And especially in the case of Minor White, he believed that it reflects on the maker of the image. So in this case, this is a very dramatic photograph. The high contrast. It's very emotional and very passionate. But even looking at this, because of the infrared film, look how he's playing with shape. There's a square on the barn here, and then there's a triangular and square shape here. So you have these two things holding the center, and this square is against the larger barn. Here, this shadow of a light pole is pointing to this light barn, so it adds a sense of three-dimensionality. The clouds up here, it's a very dramatic storm cloud. So it implies some kind of passion or very stormy mood. So this is the content of the photograph. The detail is just very lovely, very lush descriptively. Here there's like a white tonality coming across horizontally, and it crosses with this light pole. But when you look at Richard Prince, he basically rephotographed an old photograph. This is the Marlboro Man. In the old days, they used to have commercials for Marlboro cigarettes, and this cowboy was a symbol for that, for the type of person that smokes Marlboro cigarettes. He took this ad and photographed it and recropped it so that the thing itself becomes a little more confusing, because he takes an image and makes it something else. This is stronger from the standpoint of the frame, because he basically reframed the old picture. He took something out and reframed it, and created a different relationship. And the way he framed it, he made it look that the cowboy on the horse has already passed by. Instead of framing so the cowboy's here, so he's already passing by. So in that sense, there's a time factor, but I'll talk about that later. Here, the framing implies something else outside the frame. This pole here, this electrical pole, is outside the frame, but it's implied within the frame. So there's a sense of continuity. The image does not stand by itself. There's a sense of things going on outside the frame. So that's another aspect of the idea of the frame. Now here we also have the detail, and I just described the details. The details are these formalistic elements. The tonality here, this square here, this triangular and square shape here, these two shapes against the dark sky and the dark barn. These are the details that tell the story of passion or a certain kind of emotion, which is within the photographer and probably the viewer. So that's the detail. Here the detail is about how the placement of the horse and the rider. That's the detail. And that detail holds, and it implies that the rider has already ridden past. He's on his way out. So it's not so black and white. These categories are not so clear cut. Now, as far as time and vantage point go, if Zherkowsky talked about time as being the split second that the photograph is taken. Time is not such a factor here, because again, this photograph was already made. It's more about framing and the detail. Time is not a factor. Here, time might be a factor because it might be, well, actually, it is at a time when the sun is very low in the sky, which could be morning or evening. So here, time is a factor. Vantage point, it's a very normal vantage point in both cases. So, okay, that's what I wanted to tell you. I wanted to show you how you can, show you another way of how you can apply Joukowsky's theories to these two sample images. How are they different? Well, here, this is more conceptual. Richard Prince subscribed to the idea that there's nothing really original in today's contemporary art because there's an oversaturation of media. So what he did was rephotograph the media to create something what he calls original. I don't agree to it. I don't like appropriating art, but that's what he did. In Minor White's case, he actually photographed an original scenario. And the actual photograph here is more important. The photograph and the reflection or the metaphor of what it stands for, the symbol of what it stands for. That's also part of the detail, the symbol of this photograph and the feeling that it stands for. All right, Louis, I'm going to leave it at that, and I will talk to you later. Take care. Happy Mother's Day.